Dearest Queers, good morning, happy Monday. I'm coming to you a little later this morning in true cancer season fashion. My morning has been a little slower than originally planned and expected, so here I am. My name is Doolin. I'm a healer and mentor. I work with queer and trans folks struggling with feelings of loneliness and disconnection to talk about strategies to connect and live their best relational lives. I bring a trauma-informed lens with a spiritual slant. I'm here with the 4th episode of Dearest Queers, which is a live series that came out of survey results that I sent out back in May asking queer and trans folks about their experiences related to feelings of loneliness and disconnection. And my cat Lou is here to join us this morning. Thank you, Lou. So our question today is, why are the people in my life inconsistent? And so to the asker, I say, I see you and I love you, and it is understandably really hard to feel consistently connected to folks when we are experiencing them as inconsistent. That makes sense. And so the real quick and easy answer to this question about why are the folks in my life inconsistent is that I don't know, and it's not my business. It's also not your business. I know that that might sound harsh, and I want to acknowledge that their way of relating is impacting you, and that's what we're here to talk about and unpack. But when it comes to trying to figure out why other people are doing what they're doing, it's a huge waste of our time and energy, and I promise you that. It is fruitless, and it's just a distraction from where our power truly lies, which is right here with us, and controlling what we can control, which is our reaction to things and our behavior. So that might be an obnoxious response, but it's the truth. So that's the simple and quick answer to trying to understand what other people are doing. I don't know. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. However, I'm here to be of service to you all. So let's unpack a little bit when it comes to impact and how we're being impacted in our relationships or in terms of feeling connected or not. Let's talk about that a little bit. So the first thing that I would explore around consistency, you guessed it, based on if you saw the first 3 videos that I've put out or done in this live series, is I would check into, am I relating to myself in consistent ways? So if one of the ways, so last week we talked about the ways that we feel cared for or identifying that. So if one of the ways that you feel cared for is by folks showing up consistently, which is a super reasonable need or desire or expectation, right? Then again, first and foremost, are you relating to yourself in that way? It's really hard to expect that of other people if we aren't even showing up for ourselves in that way. Are you showing up for yourself in consistent ways? And that's either through the ways that you care for yourself or through behavior action. Are you moving with integrity? Are you doing the things that you say that you're going to do? And if you have some question about what it means to relate consistently to yourself, reach out to me and we can brainstorm together and talk about what that looks like in your life. Like I mentioned last week, when it comes to trusting ourselves, oftentimes we can have a cognitive understanding about what these things mean, and then it's really different when it a bodily sense or what that actually how that manifests or shows up in our lives. So if you want to talk about what it means to show up consistently for yourself, let's talk about it. I love to talk about these things, clearly, which is why I'm talking about them all the time. So that would be the first place that I would start, is looking at my own relationship with myself. I can't, I don't have enough fingers to count on the times in my life that when I've had issue with a way that someone was relating to me, it actually was a reflection or a way that I needed to show up for myself in a different way. So that's where I always start, is to say, am I in integrity or in right relationship with myself, first and foremost. And then secondly, and probably more popular and more often talked about, is around this question of, surrounding ourselves with folks who are inconsistent, is around attachment needs, right? So is that feeling of inconsistency or chaos or irregular closeness, is that familiar? Is that the way that our attachment system understands what it means to be loved and cared for? And if that's the case, if that's your history, if that's our history, it's okay. I love you. Welcome to the club. I feel so many of us are undoing our learned and familiar default ways of relating and as related to attachment. I know many of you are well versed in therapy speak and like understanding of attachment, and again having the cognitive awareness of that, and then actually creating new ways, like new patterns and ways of relating. Like those are two different things. So I just want to acknowledge that we can be like all kinds of fed up with the feelings of disconnection or loneliness in our lives and still not take the steps to shift things, because it's hard work. Like we like literally, are like shifting, the cells in our bodies, the energy in our bodies to like remember a new way of being, because those old ways, that's what our body knows, and that's how we like show up and sort of like recapitulate or like make these experiences. We like recreate them for ourselves because that's what's familiar to our body. So in acknowledging or saying that sometimes we have a cognitive awareness or we have the insight and then we don't make the behavioral change, I have like boatloads of compassion for that, and like I'm also in that camp. Like it takes conscious, intentional work to begin to shift these patterns and ways of relating. I feel like the exciting thing though is that like once you have the awareness, is that you have the choice then to relate differently. So like so often in our lives, especially in relationships, we just move from this default way of relating. That like what's familiar, it's what our body knows and expects. It's sort of the folks we've had like with us for many years or along the way. And that we just like default into that's how it is. So folks are inconsistent, or folks, maybe cross our boundaries or like behave in other ways that we ultimately don't like, but we don't do the hard work to say, I'm going to choose something differently because I deserve to experience something different. I want to need, whatever, that like you get to choose that, and you get to choose the experience you want to have in a relationship. So if you want more consistent people in your life, which you deserve to be loved in all of the ways that you want, that feel good, then like get really clear on that and choose to have consistent folks in your life. I know that I make it sound easy, and like in some ways it is. I think it depends on sort of like where you are. I talked earlier about like therapy speak or like attachment speak. I feel like it depends sort of like where you are in your healing process around that. Like if there's still some part of you that doesn't believe that you deserve consistent people or to be loved in the ways that you desire or want, then like great. Not as in like good, let's stop there, but like then you have that awareness. Like there is this knowing that belief is like you're still holding on to that you don't deserve that. So let's like get you connected to a therapist or other healer to begin to heal that and to begin to shift that and to begin to work with those patterns and stories to heal what needs to be healed. So like let's start there and begin to shift those things so that then you can choose to have different experiences in your life. So the take home is that I don't know why the folks in your life are inconsistent. And like I said at the beginning, at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what other folks are doing. We need to stay in our lane and focus on where our power lies, which is with ourselves. I'm sorry if that is your experience in your life. I'm sorry that you're impacted by that and are having that experience. And now that you see the pattern, you get to make a choice about what you want to do from here. Whether that's more self-work to begin to shift what you believe that you deserve and get to have in your relationships, or whether you have done that work and now it's about actually choosing and on a behavioral level doing something different and working through the like discomfort, right, of this like in-between space of doing something different. You need to remember that like, our bodies again are like used to this excuse me, this like attachment related experience. Then when we begin to choose something different, we're going to have a response to that. It's not going to feel good. It's not going to feel familiar because it's not familiar. So ultimately, as I feel like all of my lives up to this point have been about, it ultimately comes down to the ways that we're relating to ourselves. So whether that is through being more consistent in the ways we show up in our own self-care and our self-love, or in the ways that we choose our experiences of love and connection with others, that we get to choose that, and our power lies in there. Like if we don't like what's here, if we don't like the folks who are in our lives or the ways that they're relating to us, the like beautiful and amazing thing is like, let's choose different. Like let's choose something different then. Again, I'm not undermining the like, or like minimizing the work that takes, but we have the power to choose different, especially if we want to have a different experience in our lives as it relates to who is in our lives and how they're relating to us. If you need or want more support or help in that process, please reach out. I would love to either get you connected to someone who's doing like deep attachment related therapy work, or if it's more on like behavioral change, coaching level, mentoring, I would love to work with you in that. I feel, this like self-responsibility and taking initiative, I get really fired up about. So, please reach out. That's all I have for this week. I love all of you so much. If you feel inclined to share this with someone who might be struggling with inconsistent folks in their lives, I'd love for you to share this video with them. You can follow me on Instagram @GrayDoolin, where I'm also sharing like strategies and tips for connection throughout the week. So, sending love to you all. I hope you have fantastic days, and I'll see you next week.